Restaurants are amazing. They're really amazing places. I mean, I know I'm biased, but occasionally, though, we make mistakes. I'm sure something that's probably occurred to a lot of people in this room is at one time or another you've been dining at a restaurant, and when the waiter or the food runner comes to deliver your entrees, they run away and you don't have silverware to eat your food. It sucks. It's frustrating, right? You're sitting there, you're looking at this beautiful, hot food, and you start looking to try to flag somebody down because all you want is silverware so you can start eating. And off in the corner, what do you see? You see your waiter. And what is your waiter doing? They're giggling and chatting and laughing with their colleagues, and you're just trying to get attention. And they're seemingly completely unaware that you need silverware. Off in the other corner, what do you see? You see the bartender texting on his message. This sucks. It's really frustrating, isn't it? I'm telling this story to illustrate a problem that exists in our country. And the problem that I'm talking about is employee engagement. What's great is that restaurants offer the opportunity to provide a great case study on employee engagement because we literally have to be engaged as restaurant staffs in order to succeed. But before we get into all of the elements of what makes restaurants great case studies for employee engagement, it's really important that we all understand a couple of factors about restaurants. First, if you're trying to get rich, please find another profession, all right? Restaurants on general generate about a 6% profit margin. That means I fight tooth and nail for 6 cents on the dollar. The second thing that we all need to know about restaurants is it's really hard work. And I mean, anybody you've talked to who says to you that they work in restaurants, most people's first reaction, ooh, long hours. Yeah, it is long hours, all on our feet, often in hot environments. You know what else it is? It's really high pressure. And I'm not talking that Gordon Ramsay shouting and screaming and throwing pans pressure. I mean, literally, you could have Mother Teresa or Gandhi in the kitchen, and it's still high pressure. And you know why it's high pressure? It really trickles down to about 3 things that make restaurants really high pressure environments. The first one is that we're dealing with a perishable product, our raw food. The second thing is the life cycle of that product generally occurs all in one day. And what I mean is, in the morning we receive our food, then we spend all day prepping and working on it, and then at night we serve it. And that leads to the third thing that makes restaurants really high pressure. Most of you are all trying to dine at exactly the same hour every single night. So, what do small profit margins and high pressure have to do with employee engagement? Everything. They have everything to do with employee engagement. You see, because restaurants have such slim profit margins, it's a lot more difficult for us to offer high salaries and a lot of the other traditional extrinsic motivators that a lot of other industries are able to offer. So instead, what we need to do is we need to find alternative ways to add value to this high-pressure workplace. So if we don't find ways to do that, what happens in restaurants is we fail, right? Take, for example, a cook who's not engaged. What happens? They might overcook or burn the food, making it not tasty, or worse yet, inedible. What happens when a waiter's not engaged in their job? You get bad service, making you not want to return to the restaurant, or worse yet, give an unfavorable review. Now, with so many restaurants that are doing it exactly right, and are giving great food, and they're giving great service, the places that don't fail, and they fail quickly, there's a reason the statistic exists and is true that 9 out of 10 restaurants fail in the first year, right? Now, all of this is true beyond just restaurants. Employee engagement is a problem that exists beyond restaurants. Both Gallup and McKinsey have been conducting surveys on employee engagement since 2000. The results of their studies are mind-blowing. Sadly, only 3 out of 10 people working in this country are actively engaged in their jobs. 5 out of 10 are disengaged at work, and the last 2 are defined as actively disengaged at work. This is crazy. I mean, here you need to know more about this. They surveyed over 25 million people in nearly 200 countries in almost 70 languages. This is not like just some theory that somebody on the internet came up. This is hard statistics. This is a fact. We have a problem with employee engagement, right? So at our restaurants, we do a lot of things to really foster and try to enrich and enliven an environment of employee engagement. And I believe that a lot of the practices that we do can be applied across other industries. The first place we need to start as companies is with celebrating the individual. Teray is a gentleman who's a server at one of our restaurants. Teray used to come to work every day, and he always had his camera, and I'd see him, he'd be snapping pictures of this and that and the other. So one day, since I saw him always carrying his camera, I sat and I had coffee with Teray, and I wanted to chat with him a little bit. Hey, Teray, I noticed you always have your camera with you. Are you a professional photographer on the side? Something common, a lot of servers and bartenders have another job on the side. To which Teray explained to me, no, I'm not a professional photographer on the side. I'm just really passionate about photography. Okay, that was great. We talked about it a little bit more. Fast forward about 6 months later, we were opening another restaurant, and we were developing the website for that other restaurant. We hired 2 other professional photographers to take all the pictures of the food and the room for the website. And then I remembered, wait a second, Teray's really passionate about photography. This would be a great opportunity to get Teray involved. So I went to Teray and I talked to him and I offered him a price that I would pay him to take some pictures. He was fired up. He was like, what? I'm literally, you're going to pay me to take pictures? Yes, right? So Teray got so fired up, and he grabbed his camera, and he went, and he started taking pictures of all the restaurants and everything. And in the end, he delivered me almost twice as many pictures as either of the other photographers. What do? We put some of his pictures up on the website. He was so proud. He was so happy. Actually, Teray wrote me a card afterwards. I brought it because I want to share one of the things that Teray wrote in his card to me. He said, Gabriel, thank you for giving me the opportunity to photograph the restaurants and allow me to manifest one of my dreams. Words can't describe your belief in me from day one to be an asset to the family, and it's been a beautiful thing to watch us grow. I love that I come in every day, and it never feels like work. It never feels like work. That's amazing. That's what I want everyone to feel like, is that it never feels like work. And what did it take? It just took me taking an interest. And you know what is the best thing that came out of this? It wasn't even the pictures. The best thing that came as the end result of involving Teray and taking pictures was the passion and the excitement and the energy that he took back to the restaurant that he's a waiter at. And he put all that passion and that pride into all of the guests that he served and into his colleagues. And they benefited from his enthusiasm far more than we benefited from some pictures. And all I had to do was take an interest in him as a person. You see, all too often, as companies do, they ask their individuals and they ask their colleagues and their employees to check their passions, to check their dreams, and to check their ambitions at the door, and instead trade those in for the passions, dreams, and ambitions of the company. That's backwards, my friends. It is absolutely backwards. What we need to be doing is the exact opposite. You need to be talking to your colleagues and your employees and asking them, what are your passions? What are your dreams? What are your ambitions? Let's find those out. Let's uncover those realities. And then let's work together. I'll tell you what the ambitions of the company are. And will you help me achieve the company's ambitions? You tell me what yours are, and let me try to help you achieve yours. Right? Celebrate the individual. Now, this is an example of how it works on a one-on-one situation. But a lot of the time we work in teams. We work in teams in restaurants, and there's a lot of companies that work in teams. What we do at our company to try to promote teamwork is collaboration. Now, we have a director of bar operations, a brilliant individual, fully capable of writing all of the cocktail lists for all of the restaurants, all by himself without any help. And I tell you what, if we let him do it that way, I guarantee it would be way more efficient than the system we use. But instead, we choose to use a system that takes 3 times as long and takes way much more effort to manage. Why? Why would we adopt a system that takes more time and more effort when we have something more efficient? Because it encourages employee engagement. The system that I'm talking about is around the cocktail list changes. What we do is we create 3 voluntary meetings with all of the bartenders of every restaurant every time we want to change the cocktail list. Those meetings are centered around, the first one is idea creation, the second one is editing, and the third one is implementation. And for the weeks leading up to the cocktail change and for the weeks after the cocktail change, the entire bar staffs of the whole company are fully engaged in the process. And when somebody's cocktail makes the final list, they're proud and they're excited that their cocktail made the final list. And every time a guest orders a cocktail from them, that passion and that engagement is refueled and reignited. You know what's even better? We got another bonus that we weren't even looking for by creating collaboration. Consistency. Who knew? Every bartender's so proud of their cocktails. What do? They make sure that every other bartender makes their drink exactly the same way they would. It's brilliant, right? Now, sometimes these cocktails or dishes that come out of team collaboration get recognized and picked up by a magazine like Bon Appetit or Food and Wine or the New York Times. And when that happens, we have this wonderful opportunity to share our stage and shine the light and recognize our colleagues for their efforts. See, all too often, teams work together, and then the team leader or the director takes all the credit. That's crap. Don't be that guy. Don't be the guy who steals all the credit. Be the other guy. Be the other guy who, when you get recognized for doing something awesome, you sit there and say, you know what? I wasn't just me. I had Jill with me. I had Steve with me. Actually, that drink is his. And so we do that anytime our dishes or our cocktails are recognized. We share the spotlight, and we allow the people that we're working with to be recognized for their efforts. There's other ways to share the spotlight, though. And that's internal promotion. You see, a lot of companies talk about career development and clear paths for growth. But all too often, I think those are hollow words where people say that that's what they care about, but their actions don't always follow that. That's not good enough anymore. We need to do better. We need to make sure that we are promoting from within, and we need to also amplify the stories of that promotion. A few weeks ago, the general manager of one of our restaurants put in notice because she's moving out of New York, sadly, to move to Austin, Texas. This left us with a hole at the top level service management position at one of our restaurants. The person that was directly under her, ready to take the position, or was not ready to take the position just yet. They were doing a great job, but they weren't ready to be the general manager just yet. So we were faced with a dilemma. What do? Do we look for somebody that's very qualified externally, or do we find a more creative internal solution to this problem? In our company, we constantly promote and we constantly talk about this idea of internal promotion. So it's important that if we're going to always talk about it, we got to put our actions where those words are. So what we've chosen to do is actually find a creative solution. Instead, what we're going to do is we are promoting the general manager of the other restaurant across the street, a guy who's been in his position for 3 years, crushing it every day. He's been doing such a good job at one restaurant, we're going to give him the opportunity to try to do it at 2 restaurants. Then what we're going to do after that is we're going to take the 2 service managers at each of these restaurants, and we're going to promote each of them to be the assistant general manager. Then what we're going to do is we're going to identify a waiter or a bartender or a maitre d' who has leadership potential, and we are going to offer them their first management position, and they will become the new service manager. And then what we will do is hire a new waiter or bartender from the outside. You see, when we promote from within, what we have the ability to do is improve our retention. We have the ability to promote and enrich our culture, and we have the ability to do better training. Because in our case, everybody who's moving into a new position is being trained by the person who last held it. And that person's sticking around as a source of information constantly and continuously. What this means is that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, I think it's important that as companies, we make the decision to promote a less qualified internal candidate over a more qualified external candidate. Because when we do that, we have the ability to make ourselves a more attractive employer internally and externally, in addition to improving retention, improving culture, and improving training. Because what's going to happen when that new waiter or bartender comes into our company is they're going to be surrounded by every layer of management above them was once a waiter or bartender, and they see in their faces an amplified story of, if I work here, I have the opportunity to grow too. Externally, it brings more talent to us. It's brilliant. People that are coming into our restaurants, that work at other restaurants, see the general manager today and they know, I used to come to this restaurant 3 years ago. You used to make my cocktails. Today you're the general manager. I want to work in this company. I want to be a part of this. There's opportunities for growth. And the more we do this, over time, we begin to surround ourselves with an entire team that represents our investment in them. Currently, the unemployment rate in this country is 6%. A lot of people are up in arms about that. Doesn't bother me as much as a different statistic. What bothers me is that 7 out of 10 people that have jobs in this country are disengaged. That they're simply going to work and they're clocking in and they're clocking out. Or worse yet, some of them are actively undermining the ambitions of the people who do care in that company. That's the real problem in my mind. Lack of engagement is a real issue, and it's something that we really need to work on. And it's got to start with CEOs, founders, leaders, and managers. And those same Gallup and McKinsey reports about employee engagement suggest that many people are trying. But you know what else it suggests? More people are not trying. And of the few managers and CEOs that are trying, they're only finding success a third of the time. That's inadequate. We need to make change. And the ways that I found to make change, and the ways that I encourage you to make change, are to celebrate individuality. Help the people that you work with live their values and their passions and dreams through the company, inside their work life and outside. Second, create collaboration. Be intentional about it, even if it's not the most efficient way, and even if it means creating more work and more time. Create collaboration and share in the recognition when you do. And lastly, and most importantly, we must make as a default way of thinking internal promotion. It's got to be that way. It's how we're going to build better cultures and better teams. Because if we don't do these things, we're going to continue to tread water, and we're going to continue to stifle production, innovation, and job creation. So think about all that we have been able to achieve as a country with only 3 out of 10 people engaged at work. Imagine what we could create if 5 out of 10 people were engaged at work. Let's start making a dent in employee engagement. Thank you.